Well, how are you on this weekend? Dylan Raiola and Nebraska, they host Colorado on national TV and put on a show. At least in the first half they did, and they get the big win. A bad day in the big house, a scare in Happy Valley, and Illinois gets an upset win. We got all that instant reaction right here. It's Locked On Big Ten live, and it starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten Live. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and a play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are here every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Let's chop it up. Nebraska looking great for the entire first half against Colorado, built an insurmountable lead, and even though it got sloppy in the second half, they get a big win over Coach Prime Deion Sanders and company. What an embarrassment today for Michigan against Texas. The Longhorns are for real, and Michigan no longer is. Meanwhile, we'll get to all of the action today on a very long day of Big Ten action today. A lot of excitement, a lot of things to talk about, and then we'll take our first peek at week 3 on what's on board for next weekend. So Colorado and Nebraska, the series is going back to 1898. I mean, just to start off the atmosphere at the beginning of this game, the crowd, 86,000 people, they were all amped up. It was loud. It was crazy. Deion is out there with his gold headphones on and on the sideline and everything, and everybody was ready for a show. Colorado started out with just a couple of quick incomplete passes and a sack by the Nebraska defense. Overall, Nebraska had 5 sacks tonight. They were getting after it over that Colorado offensive line all night long. Then everybody came out to see Dylan Raiola, the freshman quarterback for Nebraska, his second career start. His big game here against Colorado on national TV. By the way, he ran for a first down on that first third down. It took a shot early on. Dante Dowdell, the running back, carried the load here tonight, had a 12-yard touchdown on the opening drive. He had 25 yards on that opening drive, 7 plays, 49 yards. Evenly balanced, right? Four running plays, 3 passing plays, and Nebraska's up 7-0, just like that. Colorado gets the ball. They had that kickoff return specialist. I was a little bit worried about him the first couple times he touched the ball. John Hull had 63 yards, got good field position. But again, Shedeur Sanders sacked again by Nebraska. There was that 4th and 1 on the Nebraska 30. They got stuffed by the Nebraska D. So they take over at the 32-yard line, but they were forced to punt. They got it all the way down to the 2-yard line. So Colorado is way back. And it's important to mention this because right after that, Shedeur Sanders threw a pick 6 right there at the goal line. And all of a sudden, it was Tommy Hill who got in there and got into the end zone. And all of a sudden, Nebraska is up 14-0. And those fans are beside themselves. It was an incredible atmosphere there at Memorial Stadium. When Colorado gets the ball again, another sack. And the thing was about Nebraska that was impressive. They were getting to Shedeur Sanders with 4 guys. They weren't blitzing or doing anything fancy. They were just getting to him. They did a great job tonight. That is something to hang your hat on further going through the season. So already we're barely into the game. Nebraska's got 3 sacks, and they're up by 2 touchdowns over Colorado. At this point of the game, Colorado has a negative 27 yards rushing because in college football, sacks take away yardage from your running game, but they weren't doing anything on the ground either. So anyway, that's how we go into the second quarter. Remember, Colorado had taken over on a drive on the 20-yard line, but another sack. Jamari Butler getting in there. Colorado gets off a punt, sets Nebraska back to the 14-yard line. But the offensive line for Nebraska at this point, I started off by talking about the defensive line of Nebraska. Now let's talk about the offensive line because they were just pushing Colorado backward. Dylan Raiola had a 36-yard pass. It was across his body, and Jalen Lloyd came back to catch it at the 1-yard line. Everything was going Nebraska's way. And then Dowdell punched it in with a 1-yard touchdown. And that capped off a 9-play, 86-yard drive that took almost 5 minutes. All of a sudden, it's 21-0 Nebraska, and we still had 6 minutes and change to go in the half. Then Colorado finally got something going. They attempted a field goal. That was blocked. Literally nothing was going Colorado's way. That was their best drive of the game at that point. So still 21-0. Both teams exchanging punts. And it looks like that's how we're going to go into the locker room. Nebraska's back at its 30-yard line. Isaiah Nair took a targeting to the head, made a catch. At this point in the game, Nebraska still balanced, 16 runs, 16 passes, perfectly balanced attack. And then there was the moment where Raiola threw the bad pass. It looked like it was going to be picked off by Levante Bentley. I mean, he had it. It was interception, but then he bobbled it, and Ramir Johnson just picked it up and went, grabbed it, basically walked into the end zone for 18 yards for another Nebraska touchdown. All the breaks continue to go Nebraska's way. Quick 3-play, 70-yard drive, 40 seconds to go in the half. That's how we go into the locker room. We learned so 28-0 at that point. We learned that Shilo Sanders, he's the other Sanders kid. Shedeur's the quarterback. Shilo's the defensive back. Unfortunately, looked like he broke his arm in that, and so he was done for the day. We come out into the second half, and I must say Nebraska did not keep its intensity up. They had a lot of penalties on the night, 12, 13 penalties. I lost track after a while, and they didn't score in the second half, but the lead was so big and the game was in hand. Nebraska came out with the early field goal to make it 28-3 at that point. Nebraska had a punt blocked by Colorado, and then Shedeur Sanders was able to hook up with LaJonte Wester for a 5-yard touchdown. So they did get a touchdown on the night to make it 28-10, capping off a 6-play, 58-yard drive. And basically it was run out the clock, penalties, back and forth, no more scoring. That was your final score. But at the end of the day, if you're in Nebraska, and look, it's hard. It's hard to keep that kind of intensity going when you're up that big, that early. So I'm sure that's something that Matt Rhule's going to want to work on and, try and keep that intensity level going throughout the entire game and cut down on the penalties. They had a couple of big plays, break it for big yardage, and even scores that were called back because there were silly holding penalties. Some of them weren't even necessary, weren't even near the play. So you got to clean that up. But Nebraska is 2-0. Husker Nation is excited about it. Let us know what you think. I'll get to some comments in just a little bit. By the way, a couple things I want to keep you abreast of. And you may be new to us since we're live here over the weekend, right after the game. We pick up a lot of new viewers, a lot of new listeners, a lot of new subscribers. Go ahead and subscribe. It's free. We're here every day, Monday through Friday. Then we go live on the weekends after the big games. But you can subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available. There's the video version on YouTube and the audio version wherever you get your podcast every day. It's there for you. And we have something brand new that we are debuting today. Just got it activated today. You see, if you're on video here, of course you are, because we're Saturdays we go live on the video. But you can see we have a new texter, Big Ten texter insider community. There's a phone number that you could text the words first 30, number 30, all one word, first 30. Text that into this phone number here that you see on the bottom at 872-217-3100. And you'll get 6 months free to be a part of our insider texter community back and forth. I was on it today during the games. Can hit you up back and forth individually. It's a fantastic new feature. Check it out, play with it, and have some fun. But it's right there. Again, 872-217-3100. Text the word first 30. And that means the first 30 subscribers today and tomorrow will get 6 months free. They'll take you into March Madness. All that free. So check it out. Direct access to me for Q&A, game of the week, stay up to date on big news, take part in game day and post-game reaction after podcast. It's great. Again, 872-217-3100. Text the word first 30. All right. The magical run in Ann Arbor is over. And it might be over for a minute. I'll explain why. All that coming up. plus an upset special for Illinois. Congratulations to them. All that as we continue on our live edition here on Saturday of Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. If you're in charge of a small office or small business, LinkedIn Jobs can help you find new people that could work for you. You got to fill a job, go to LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not like just a job board, okay? LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So those are the people you want to go after. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, as we continue here on Locked On Big Ten Live, thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. You everydayers out there, thank you very much. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. We also have a website where everything goes to at talkbig10.com. So in 2023, Michigan and Texas were elite among college football. Both were among the 4 college football playoff teams. Obviously, Michigan went on to win a national championship. Fast forward to 2024, where Texas visited the Big House on Saturday afternoon and blew out Michigan. So both teams were up here last year. Texas is still up here. Michigan is not. That is clear. If you were watching us live last Saturday or even early in the week on Locked On Big Ten, you know we had some big concerns that Michigan struggled for 3.5 quarters against Fresno State. Now, they started to look more like themselves in the fourth quarter and got the win, but they've fallen off. They are not the same. That is the most honest assessment right now. And they got problems in a lot of areas. But 31-12 is the final score. The game wasn't even that close because Michigan got a late touchdown. Texas beat Michigan on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. That used to never happen. Texas stuffed the running game and suffocated the passing game. Quinn Ewers threw for 246 yards and a couple of touchdowns, and the Longhorn offense did whatever it wanted against Wink Martindale's defense all day long. Davis Warren started again for Michigan. 22 of 33 on the day, 200 yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw a couple interceptions, including the one late. The Alex Orji situation. I mean, he's barely a change of pace quarterback, just like he was last year. And here's the problem with Alex Orji now. When he comes into the game, everybody in the stadium knows he's going to run the ball. That was the case today. He had 2 carries for -1 yard. Texas knew what was going on. So Michigan's got a lot of work. We're going to focus on them on Monday's podcast. Wolverine fans, you can commiserate. We'll kind of figure this out. Monday's Locked On Big Ten podcast. We almost had another embarrassment in the Big Ten on Saturday. Big Ten's Penn State's home opener against Bowling Green. Now, the Nittany Lions won that game 34-27. And by the way, that's where everything seemed to be going right. Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen both rushed for over 100 yards. Tyler Warren caught 8 balls for 146 yards. We've been dying to have somebody do that for Penn State. This game should have been close, but it was. So what happened? The defense was the problem. They couldn't get off the field when they wanted to. Bowling Green was 7 of 14 on third down. Penn State had no answers for Harold Fannin Jr. and Malcolm Johnson Jr., who combined for 19 catches and 218 yards and 2 touchdowns. That can't happen. That's not elite defense that Penn State is used to, not by any stretch. So some problems, some things to work out there at Penn State. Iowa led most of the day for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. You know, they started off kind of fast, even did 5 wideouts on one format. I thought, this is Iowa football? What are we doing? But then it got into the usual mud of, well, not literally because it was a nice sunny day, but it got kind of grinded to a halt there. And Iowa was just kind of hanging on and keeping the lead a little bit. And Iowa State was hanging on. And then they got the 54-yard field goal 5 seconds to go, and Iowa State wins 20-19. And wasted a great day by Caleb Johnson, who had 187 yards on the ground today. Jay Higgins got an interception too. Congratulations to Michigan State. 27, they got a win today over Maryland, 27-20. Jonathan Kim had a 37-yard field goal with 1 second to go. It's 27-24. Now you misspoke. 27-24. The game was tied. Game-winning field goal, 1 second to go. Aiden Childs, what an up-and-down day for him. 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Billy Edwards threw for a couple of touchdowns for Maryland. And Ty Felton had 11 catches for 154 yards in the loss of a touchdown. Glendon Miller had 2 interceptions. The Washington Huskies beat Eastern Michigan 30-9. Will Rogers threw for 261 yards and 4 touchdowns. And that was after a slow start. Jonah Coleman, who was a very formidable running back, ran 11 times for 104 yards. Huskies had 7 sacks. Zach Dufree had 2.5. The Wisconsin Badgers, Tyler Van Dyke. Well, he threw a touchdown pass. It was Ches Malusi that really helped him out, rushing for a couple of touchdowns. Wisconsin beat South Dakota 27-13. Elsewhere, PJ Fleck's Golden Gophers, they got their first win of the season. 48-0, as a matter of fact, over Rhode Island. Okay, a win is a win. Max Brosmer threw for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. Now, he was a star at the FCS level last year at New Hampshire before he transferred to Minnesota. And they were taking out an FCS opponent today. He was very good. Can he do it against FBS opponents and Power 4 opponents? Still remains to be seen. The Gophers defense held Rhode Island to 135 total yards and hauled in 3 interceptions on the day. It has been a tough 8 days for Akron. They got pounded by Ohio State last week. This week, they got crushed by Rutgers, 49-17. I love talking about Kyle Monangai. Last year's leading rusher in the Big Ten, carried 27 times for a career-high 208 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win. He's got 373 yards in 2 games so far. Ethan Kaliak-Manis threw for 3 touchdowns, including a 58-yarder to Chris Long. Saquon Loyal had an interception, and Rutgers now has a bye week before taking on Virginia Tech. Ohio State had a night game tonight. Cruise control against Western Michigan. Beat them 56-0. Jeremiah Smith had 5 catches for 119 yards and a touchdown at the half. Quinshon Judkins rushed for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the game was such a blowout. Good move by Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. They put Julian Sayin in there, the young freshman phenom quarterback, and he scored his first career touchdown on a 55-yard touchdown pass. So that was good. The upset of the day, 19th ranked Kansas went into Illinois, and Illinois comes out with the win. 23-17. Love the all-orange uniforms, by the way. Xavier Scott had a pick 6 for the Illini. They gave him a 13-10 lead. Miles Scott, free safety, had a nice interception down by a score with about a minute to go to third. That was a good turning point as well. Illinois scored 10 points in the fourth quarter for the win, so congratulations to Brett Bielema and company. Friday night lights, we had Indiana, in case you missed it, scored 77 points against Western Illinois, 77-3. Curtis Rucker, a couple of touchdown passes. That was a scoring record for the Hoosiers, by the way. They once scored 76 in 1901. They're at UCLA next week in the Rose Bowl. They might look. Indiana in the past. I know you got to look at the opponent. Western Illinois, probably the worst team in college football. But in years past, Indiana would have won that game like 35-20. Now they win at 77-3. I think they got a little something going there with Curt Cignetti. I'm going to be real curious to see how they do at UCLA in the Rose Bowl next week. And then also Northwestern. They lost in double overtime to Duke at home. You know, it kind of looked like a Friday night high school game because they were at a small little stadium, their temporary stadium on campus, 15,000 people at night. It was a stiff breeze blowing in from Lake Michigan. They lost the game. They had the lead. They lost the game. 26-20 was your final score there. And then late at night, of course, as we're going live with this, I'm watching a couple other games. Oregon was up 14-10 over Boise, and it looked like USC, who just underway, up 3-0 on Utah State. So a lot of big action going on in the Big Ten. We're going to take a look at some of your comments on our live broadcast podcast here tonight. All that's coming up in 1 minute. Plus, we'll take our first look at week 3 and what's coming up as we continue with a live edition of Locked On Big Ten. You want to go to a game? You need tickets. Get the Game Time app and get your tickets there, whether it be Big Ten football, baseball, whatever you want to. And it's not just sports. They have it for concerts and comedy shows, theater, whatever you have going on in your town, they have it. And plus, they can have all these great deals for you. They got the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They've got Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry, just in case, life happens and gets in the way. So check it out. Take the guesswork out of buying any kind of tickets on Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for your $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. All right, as we continue with our live version here of Locked On Big Ten, we'll take a look at what's coming up next week in just a moment. We've got some comments I want to peruse here. A lot of you tuning in. We went live right after that Nebraska win. Obviously, go Big Red. Go Big Red. There's a lot of that. A lot of people. Hey, our friends at Locked On Illini are checking us out. Thank you very much. It was a great win by the Illini. Very good. Meanwhile, let's see what else we got here. Been a while since Penn State's offense won a game instead of the defense. That was from Penn State Jim checking in. Lord Titan 8 says Husker power. Congratulations. Big night tonight. Meanwhile, Philip LeMay, bro, your boys look good. If they can develop a killer instinct and not let up, they will be a tough out. I'm talking about Nebraska. I don't know if they're my boys. Truth be told, I went to Indiana, but I'm a Big Ten guy. maybe he's a Colorado guy. I don't know. But anyway, appreciate all the texts coming in here. Kalman guy has all those yards that I mentioned, and he hasn't played in a fourth quarter yet. Thank you, Franco. Good point. Yeah, because they've had some leads. No question about it. So anyway, Boise just took the lead on Oregon. Thank you for the update there. I got the USC game on while it's still 3-0. What's going on with Oregon, huh? I mean, Idaho last week and Boise today. Whew. We'll have some things to talk about this week on Locked On, but thank you for all the comments. I appreciate it. Keep them coming. It gives me ideas for show topics later on the week, too, when you guys reach out like that. Also, want to remind you, if you see the scroll on the bottom, we just started an insider texter group here for Locked On Big Ten. You could be a part of it, and it's our brand new texter insider community. Text to the number 872-217-3100. Text the word first 30. That's first 30. You'll get the first 6 months free. That'll take you through football season and into March Madness. Free. Check it out for the free if you're the first 30 people to do it. Okay. Now, let's take a look at what's coming up here next week, week 3. And again, we're here every day with Locked On Big Ten. We'll be looking at some of this stuff. The big one on the board, Wisconsin got Alabama coming. Alabama had a little bit of a scare today against South Florida as a 1-point game late in the second half, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. The reality hit. That game will be at noon on Fox. That is the Wisconsin-Alabama game. Michigan taking on Arkansas State. That's a get it right, get things fixed game. That's at noon on Big Ten Network. Central Michigan is at Illinois with the big win tonight. That's at noon on Peacock. Notre Dame is at Purdue. Purdue had a bye week this week to get ready for them. You all know by now, Notre Dame lost today to Northern Illinois in South Bend. That might be a game at West Lafayette next week. That's a 3:30 game on CBS. Oregon taking on the rival Oregon State. Oregon State's mad. They got left behind when the old Pac-12 imploded. Oregon's coming. Oregon obviously struggling. Its first game and a half thus far. That will be at 3:30 on Fox. And everybody there at Oregon is going to be upset. And it's going to be a raucous crowd. Prairie View A&M at Michigan State at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. Good win by Michigan State today. Minnesota, good win. They've got Nevada next. It's at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network Saturday. Washington State is at Washington. Another formal rivalry of the blown-up Pac-12 again. But that one's at Washington, so it's a home game for the Huskies, 3:30 on Peacock. Troy is at Iowa. Iowa's going to have to bounce back from that that big loss today, a hurtful loss. It was a last-second field goal, but a loss is a loss to your rival like that. 4 p.m. on FS1. Indiana is at UCLA at the Rose Bowl. Southern Cal just got a touchdown, Quentin Joyner. That'll put them up 9-0 over Utah State. See, we are live. UCLA and Indiana. NBC Peacock, that's the national game on NBC. We will go live after that one. And again, as I mentioned a minute ago, I'm an Indiana grad. This counts as a Rose Bowl, right? I've never seen my school in the Rose Bowl. Northern Iowa rather, at Nebraska, 7:30 on the Big Ten Network. Eastern Illinois at Northwestern. That's another 7:30 game on Big Ten Network. And Maryland is at Virginia at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's on the ACC Network. So there you have it. All right. If you're just tuning in, if you just found us, if you just discovered us, because we're here live after all these games, we're here many ways to get us during the week. Okay. Monday through Friday. We're here every day. You can interact with us on Twitter at TalkBig10, number 10, our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go, and you can buy your school merchandise there as well. Be sure to subscribe and share with somebody you think that might like us, but go ahead and subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And don't forget our insider texter group as well. There's the scroll one more time on the bottom with the phone number, and text in first 30 for that. If you're among the first 30 people, you get it free for 6 months. Check out another episode of Locked On Big Ten when you find us on our webpage at talkbig10.com. Find out what you missed, get caught up, see what we're all about here. I think you're going to like it. Then maybe a second listen with our friends from Locked On College Football. We got a whole bunch of podcasts from our Locked On family, including Locked On College Football, available on YouTube also, wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That will do it. I mean, my goodness, what a day it was today. I can't wait to get back at it on Monday. Enjoy your NFL football and college football, or go back and watch some old college football on the old Big Ten Network. They'll do some replays of the highlights and all that stuff, and check out some of our podcasts as well. All right. That'll do it. Enjoy yourself. I can't wait till we talk again next time. I'm Craig Sheeman on this live edition of Locked On Big Ten. We'll talk to you next time.